Hello, welcome back to the World of Unusual. I'm your host, Chris, and thanks for joining me for another episode. Now, for this episode, I have a bit of an update I would like to share on the Slender Man stabbing case that I covered for my very first episode of this show. And before I get into the update, let me just do a bit of review on the case itself. Now, on May 31st of 2014, two 12-year-old girls named Denise Wilder and Morgan Geyser became obsessed with the idea of Slender Man. Now, Slender Man is a fictional character that started on this website called Creepypasta, where you can read it's kind of like fan fiction for horror lovers. And someone wrote a story about him. Now, he looks like a very, very tall man. He's dressed in a black suit with a white shirt, black tie. He has no face, and his arms go the length of his body, like they reach the floor, and he drags them. And he has these people called proxies that serve him and help him. Now, these two girls became so obsessed with the idea, they had altars to him, they had drawings of him in their rooms, that they decided he's real, and if we want to live with him as proxies, we have to offer him a sacrifice. So they decided, we're going to kill our friend Peyton. Now, they planned this. They had a list of things they had to get. They had a plan on how they were to carry out this murder. This was very meditated. These two girls came up with a plan, and their plan was they invited their friend Peyton over to sleep over. They hung out, played some games, whatever. Then they decided, hey, you want to go play some hide and seek in the woods? She said, sure. And when they got to a certain spot in the woods, that's when Denise and Morgan attacked their friend and with a knife. They stabbed her 19 times, and after they just left her for dead, I believe one of them said to Peyton, hey, we're going to call you an ambulance and we're going to go get help. And they just left. And Peyton even said to them as they were stabbing her, why are you doing this? And didn't really say anything. And they just left her there. And it was a scene out of a horror movie where this poor girl crawled through the woods onto a bike path where she was found, thankfully, by a guy that was riding his bike. He called 911 right away. And they asked, hey, who did this to you? Thinking it was some type of sicko or... No, she turned around and said, it was my two friends. Now, Denise and Morgan were both found walking the hallway. They found the knife in a backpack. I forget which one was wearing it, because they thought, okay, we're just going to commit the murder and start walking on the highway because this is where Slender Man's mansion is and we'll eventually get there. Now, when they were both convicted, the courts wanted to try them as adults because they said, you know what, if you're going to do this, you're going to have to face the consequences. So the charges were, Denise was charged with first-degree homicide, and Geyser was charged with second-degree homicide. Now, they were both found not guilty due to mental disease or defect. Now, both of them did suffer from mental illness after being evaluated by psychologists. And a forensic psychologist I watched an interview from, and I discussed in my first episode, which you can give a listen, said that they both actually fed into both their mental illnesses that they had, and they concocted this idea that Slender Man was real and he was around every corner. Like in the police interview, I believe it was Denise that said, where we're walking and I looked and I saw Slender Man's head poke out from the tree, and they said, okay, he's here watching us. Now, speaking of her, she was actually released a while back when I did the episode. Under supervised release, she spent 4 years in the mental health facility, and under this release, she has to live with her father. She has to wear a GPS monitoring anklet so that the police can monitor her whereabouts. She has to see psychologists regularly, and she can't use the internet except for at home, but I bet that's very monitored, where she can't probably go on Creepypasta and start looking up things on Slender Man or certain things. Now, this is where the update comes in. On June 16th of this month, Morgan Geyser actually is up for release. Now, her lawyer, Tom Cotton, petitioned the courts for a new round of medical tests and said that she's made great strides under the treatment that she was going through. And this is very interesting because, most of the time when someone gets sent to a mental health facility by the courts because they had no idea, the court proceedings, or they don't understand what they did or what's going on, they stay there. They never get released. The two Eds, Ed Kemper and Ed Gein. If you want to listen to Ed Kemper one episode, give it a listen. They both were sentenced to a mental health facility. Dean died there. He said when he was I think he was interviewed a few times, he said that, I love it here, I eat, and he died there. And Ed Kemper, he's still there. And like I said in that episode, my co-host said that he was up for parole, but he denied it because he said in an interview, if I get let go, I will probably kill again, and I deserve to be there here because I'm a monster. And he's actually quite aware of that. He actually does a whole bunch of audio recordings and books and all that. He's actually still alive and kicking. So this is a very interesting case. If there's more updates, I'll probably update as I go. Right now, this is the only update that I see, and I'll be interested to see if actually Morgan actually gets released. She'll probably be under strict supervision, just like her friend. Probably has to wear a GPS monitor anklet. She can't go to certain places. I don't know if they can actually hang out together. Maybe that's part of the terms of their release by the courts, but we'll see. So thanks for listening. If you can, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts if you can. That's how I can get this podcast noticed, and hope you guys enjoy this episode. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I'll leave the links below in the description, and don't forget to stay unusual.